AAUW is me.
I wanted to meet some new people and do some different things. And I also wanted to be part of an organization that had a social commitment to young women and the community at large.
I want to be a contributing member of an organization where women help women in promoting education, in making friends, in entertaining one another, and in sharing ideas about this world.
Women would want to join the AAUW because we have a very fierce commitment to equality and equity for women and girls. And if that's something that you're interested in, this is one of the best venues to help channel that energy.
Welcome to AAUW Connections. This evening we're very lucky to have two beautiful dogs. This is Irma and Bounty, and we have their owners here today along with a trainer. This is Linda Austin, and she's the owner of Bounty, and this is Jill Fleischer, and she's the owner of Irma. They're both beautiful dogs. I've seen them many times at the pool, but I haven't met Rita before. We have Rita here tonight. Rita Martinez, right. Rita Martinez here is a trainer of dogs, so we have a real good group tonight to talk about the dogs. Now, first of all, I'd like to know, how did you get Bounty? Why did you get Bounty?
Well, I used to be a guide dog puppy raiser, and I raised several puppies, and when Bounty went back to his formal training at Guide Dogs, I was diagnosed with a progressive hearing loss. So he was career changed at Guide Dogs for drooling too much in the presence of food. And we were very glad to get him back, and we thought would be a pet. And I signed him up for pet therapy, and we're glad to have him in our home. And then someone told me that I could train him to be a hearing dog. It didn't happen overnight. It wasn't, you know, it took a lot of time. But he now alerts for me for the doorbell, a knock on the door, the kitchen timers, when someone says my name when I'm out in public, or the fire alarm.
Oh, that's wonderful. And Jill, now you have a dog here too. Irma, I see all the time, very well behaved. Why did you get Irma?
I got Irma about 4 years ago, and she's from the Assistance Dog Institute at Bergen University of Canine Studies in Santa Rosa. And she was a little over 2 when I got her. She's now 6 years old, and she mainly retrieves for me. I'm up and about for short periods of time, and I'm always dropping my cane. She picks up my cane. I drop my keys, my mail. She opens cabinet doors, mainly the one where the trash is. And she's, you know, a big help. She really is.
And I've seen her open the door to the pool.
Oh, yes.
When they go inside.
She will hit the automatic push door when there is one available. She'll do that, and everybody goes, "Aww." And I actually can do that myself, but I like to keep her, you know, working, you know, even though I don't need it right now. Who knows, I might need it in the future because I do have a progressive disease, and she can turn lights off and on. They're trained. They have ability to do over 90 or so commands, and I don't use them all, but she's real helpful. You know, I drop something out in the yard. If I'm doing a little gardening, she'll pick it up for me and
well, you know,
try to get a treat out of it.
They're so quiet. I see Irma at the pool this way, so quiet, and Bounty too. Yet they're not that way all the time, are they?
Oh no, no. No. When Irma's home, she always has a toy in her mouth, running around, you know, shaking her tail and trying to get me to play with her. And she's a very loving, warm dog.
So if a stranger came along and wanted to pet her, could she do that?
Well, most people will ask. Some people just come over without asking, and I, you know, excuse them and say, "I'm sorry, but she's working." but there's other times that it's fine as long as they ask. And sometimes I'm in a grocery store and I hear a little kid crying, and I'll run and find the child and let the child pet Irma to calm the child down, because I can't stand to hear it.
I do
that's assistance, I think.
Yeah.
What you say.
I do that too when I see a child crying. I say, "Oh, only babies cry. You're not a baby."
Yeah, it works. It really does.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
And Bounty's the same way. When I have been told that, you know, when you're not using her officially, that she goes out and plays and everything.
There's something about the cape for Bounty. He started with one when he was 8 weeks old, and it's time to work and pay more attention. You can almost see the look on his face when I put it on, like, ugh, I'm gonna have to behave now. And when I go to a class or church or a meeting or something, I wait till after the meeting to have someone pet him, because he has to kind of settle down. And then he likes to be petted a lot, but he can't solicit it from other people. He has to be given permission to pet someone.
Get permission. But he'll go out and play with other dogs and everything.
He has a little play group that we go to in the morning, where he plays with other dogs. The grandchildren come over, throw things, tug. He's pretty much like a normal dog. When I walk him in the neighborhood, he doesn't have his cape on. He's just a normal dog.
Normal dog. Now, Rita, you're a trainer, aren't you?
Yes.
And so now, did you train one of these dogs?
I helped train Bounty.
Oh, she's fun.
Yes, I did.
How did you get into this?
Life circumstances, I guess. My mother was hearing impaired, and I worked with a little mongrel dog with her and really loved it, because I had trained many dogs prior, but that was the beginning of getting into working with service type dogs that would have a job. My hobby had been search and rescue for many years, so I was very familiar with scent work as well. And so my business now has moved not just from hearing dogs or assistance dogs, but also medical alert dogs for seizure patients or for diabetics.
How does that work, the medical alert dogs?
The dogs alert on scent. Evidently, science hasn't figured it all out yet, but evidently there are specific scents given off for an aura prior to a seizure, or to low blood glucose or high blood glucose situations, and the dogs can detect that easily. They have 220 times our scenting capability. So to them, it's an easy chore. To us, it's amazing. But
how do you train them to do this?
We collect scent from any of those situations, usually from saliva. Sometimes an item, if a person has perspired heavily and gone into a low blood glucose situation. But saliva seems to be one of the more specific things that stays rather stable. And we collect that and then imprint the dogs on that scent and train them to have an alert when they detect it, and then we move on to placing the scent on the people and so forth, so that they learn to come and indicate to the person that you have a problem, and then they can indicate whether, if it's a diabetic, they can indicate whether it's low scent or high scent, so that the individual knows which way their curve is going. It's interesting that that's necessary, because the person should, in theory, be able to just go ahead then and take their meter and test when the dog makes that original indication that there's an issue, but the meter may still say that they are in normal range, because the meter is about 20 minutes behind the dog.
Oh, that's interesting. Now, you had a dog that scented somebody who was playing football.
Yes, I have a client. He works for a boy that's almost 17 now, and he's very active in sports. And mother always brings him to the games, the dog to the games, so that he can kind of sit on the sidelines and indicate whether it's time for Justin to come out of the game and eat a candy bar or whatever it is. And he will be on the way to the game with mother in the car. Son is already there out on the field practicing, and a half a mile away he can indicate whether he's high or low.
Oh, that is interesting,
isn't it?
And we told this story about where they took the 17-year-old son out, took care of him, and then he was fine. He went back and went and played again.
Yes, oh yes, all the time. In fact, that particular boy had a friend overnight, and the dog kept telling the mother, you know, indicating, and she kept asking her son, you know, Test, what's the matter, what's the matter? And she couldn't quite figure it out, and all of a sudden she's a nurse, and she says, wait a minute. She tested the boy.
The friend?
The friend, and he was diagnosed that week.
With diabetes?
With diabetes. Had no clue that he was diabetic.
Oh, she was so
Well,
lucky.
you didn't even have to train her on
No,
that one.
he will tell, and most of the dogs will indicate to strangers as well. I fly with him once in a while, and we always hope that there's nobody on the plane that's going to go terribly high or low, because it's difficult 5 rows back to go to a stranger and say, excuse me, but I think you're having a problem.
Well, of course, the stranger might appreciate it.
They might, but they may not.
That's right, they may not know it, and here you're telling them they have a medical problem.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, tell me some more about Bounty. I'd like to know more about him.
Well,
What else he does for you?
he kind of knows when a sound shouldn't be there. So once I was at the dog park and someone's cell phone went off, that doesn't normally happen, and he alerted. And one time I was with a doctor, and he was saying, now what does this dog really do for you? You know, what is a service hearing dog? And at the same time his pager went off. Now he was not trained to go off to the doctor's pager, but we'd been there before in the room, and he knew this hadn't happened in the past. So he alerted to the pager going off. You know, so he kind of knows when a sound isn't supposed to be there to let me know something's
He
happening.
also lets you know when the doorbell went off, the front door.
Well, he usually does the doorbell, but it really surprised me. I was in the backyard once, and he started alerting. I go, what's wrong with him? You know, no. And then I realized it was probably the doorbell, and he took me to the front door. You know, I asked him where to take me, and he took me to the front door.
That's wonderful.
So.
But you brought out one thing, though, too. She has this dog around 24 hours. And when you adopt a dog, what do you have to do? You have to be, it's like adopting a child, isn't it?
Yes, it's a big responsibility. And working dogs, oftentimes people think of them as a wonderful, wonderful tool, which they are, but they come with a big responsibility. Training is never completely finished. It goes on forever. Maintenance is continuous. Just like anybody that plays a musical instrument or sports, practice has to carry on to keep the skills honed. So sometimes people are a little overwhelmed to realize that they have work still to do.
Well, too, I was thinking about it. It's like having a child. You get a cute little baby, grows up, teenager, you have to send him to college, and you have a responsibility all those years for that child.
That's right.
And that's the same with the dog. The dog can live to be 18, 20 years old.
They can.
And so you have to accept that.
Well, besides feeding Bounty and practicing alerts, he has to be exercised.
That's
you know,
right.
And he's pretty good at telling me if I haven't taken him out that he wants to go out for something. And you know, it isn't like, oh, I'm too tired, I can't do it. It's like, whoa, you got to really do it so this dog is well balanced and happy.
And you have to walk him, and that's good for you, though, too.
It's good for both of us. Yeah.
That's right. And you have to do the same thing with Irma, don't you?
Well, actually, I run Irma more than anything. I have a scooter, electric scooter that I use to walk her. And I like to run her. You know, I let her do her business, and then I run her because she likes to eat. So
I know what that's like.
yeah, in fact, when I got her at the school, everybody in the class got regular dog food except for Irma. Irma got light dog food because she does like to eat, so I need to make sure she gets enough exercise.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, yeah. Anything in sight, she'll eat. So.
Service dogs don't eat people food, and it starts by when they're 8 weeks old.
Right.
You don't give them anything. You don't ever give them people food. You never give them food when you're eating.
Oh.
And I weigh and measure his food so he won't get overweight.
Yeah, it's very important that these dogs don't get overweight. I don't know about labs, but I know Goldens tend to have hip dysplasia.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
I've
the
heard
labs
that,
yeah.
yes.
and it's very important that it was really stressed in our training that we keep their weight down. Unfortunately, a lot of the people that take these dogs home eat a lot themselves, and so they end up having heavier dogs and maybe possibly having to retire them earlier because of medical issues. So
Maybe feeding them people food too.
yeah, well, yeah, it's really important that you don't do that, at least at the table.
Oh, at the table.
So
Okay.
they don't. So
at
everybody's
least.
eating, and we have people over. Bounty just gets under the table. He doesn't beg.
Right.
Oh,
Yes, we have a go in command that go in. She goes under the table usually and goes to sleep and
That's
tries to
important
find
for
crumbs
restaurants.
underneath the table.
oh
But,
yes. I was just thinking. I have 2 cats and they eat my yogurt.
Oh, oh, wow. Yeah, my cat likes yogurt too, but I think it was making her sick. So
Oh.
we don't.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's
let
good
her
to know. Now,
anymore.
when you're training them, what else do you tell them? You know, when you got Bounty to train, what did you tell them? What's your first thing?
Well,
A lot of things you tell them. Let's see what
usually I give them all the negatives of what it's like to live and work with a service dog to make sure that they're up for the task.
Yeah.
So you're warning
Because-
them,
Yes, yes.
such
definitely.
as what are some of the negatives?
Well, we've just covered
Okay.
a great deal of them. It is not always convenient to have a dog at your side every moment. There are places that it's just difficult. Traveling, all sorts of things. And people don't take that into consideration always when they think, oh, I really need this to help me when I want it. But there isn't an off switch. These aren't Sonys. They're dogs.
They're
and-
living things.
Yeah, they're living things. And it can be inconvenient to have one tagging along all the time. So I usually try to give them all the bad things first, so that if they can think that through and still want to do it, then we've got a good thing going.
Okay.
And we just went through all of the tasks of the various things that she wanted to be notified of.
Now,
and
if I'd
taught
had a
them all.
baby, Rita could teach me to the sound of the baby.
Yeah.
Or other sounds. Each person has certain things they want in their home to the dog to alert to. As my hearing gets worse, I may want to add things on.
Oh, so
Sure.
so what you're saying is, if the baby was crying or something,
Absolutely.
the
Then
dog
the
will
dog
be
could come and
trained
tell
to
the
let you
parent.
know.
Yes. Yeah.
Or
Yes.
if the baby was hurt or somebody fell in the house,
Absolutely.
so that they're trained to come and let her know there's a problem here.
And various electronic noises, just
Or if there's a fire, or there's a
they're
problem.
trained for the fire
Just
alarm.
raise the fire alarm. And that's the last one we put on because I had to be sleeping, Bounty had to be sleeping, and then it goes off and he has to, nudge me in the bed. Normally he alerts by hitting my thigh, whether I'm standing or sitting, but the fire alarm, he knows that he's, kind of,
It's
I don't like him
urgent.
looking my face, so he takes the covers off and he really does.
Oh, so this is
it's a
emergency.
different
He
kind of
doesn't.
alert.
Now you were just mentioning something too about here. You train them with the head goes on the knee.
No, no.
Oh, no,
rest
that's a different.
Not the knee. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a different one.
It's on the. He alerts me on my thigh,
Okay.
and it's the same place whether I'm sitting or standing on either side. But smaller dogs ask, how do
Yeah.
the smaller dogs alert?
Many of the smaller dogs actually stand up and put their paws up because their
Yeah,
nose is nowhere near
right,
the thigh.
Right.
Yes.
So you
It
train
depends on the
all
dog.
size dogs.
Yes, yes, definitely.
So we're talking about everything from what would you say? What size?
Well, I
Chihuahua?
have Chihuahuas all the way up to Newfoundlands and Great Pyrenees right
Great
now.
Pyrenees?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Great Pyrenees. Is that like a Great Dane?
No, they're a little larger than a Newfie, big fluffy white. They're livestock guarding dogs.
Oh, okay.
Traditionally.
Really
You didn't
large.
mention about car alerts either.
Well, you can alert a siren in the car. I don't need that now. I may need that down the line.
A siren?
Many of my clients, when traveling, if you really are somewhat hearing impaired, you can't distinguish where it's coming from.
Right.
Actually, sometimes I can't either, depending on how things are bouncing. But it's important that the dog can either tap a shoulder, or in the case of small dogs, I usually put a portable doorbell so that the ringing part is up front, and there's a little button in the back seat where the dog is riding, and they push the button to say that there's a siren. And then I take it a step further. I have the dog turn their head in the direction of the siren so the person knows where it's coming from.
Oh, so like a fire engine,
Yes,
or
or an
ambulance or
emergency
something
ambulance,
like,
yeah.
so they can move off the side of the road.
Right, instead of get in the path.
Oh, that's
And I can still, with my hearing aids, hear the siren coming, but I don't hear it as soon as everybody else does. And as my hearing gets worse, I may need that aid in the car, because you have more reaction time if you can hear it when it's far away.
Oh, that's interesting, because I happened to have a fire engine come down. Now I had to stay towards the middle because he was, but you know, I can hear it.
Yes.
Everybody else, but then I never thought about somebody with a hearing problem.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
You can still drive if you're deaf, because the flashing lights, and I can tell by other people start to pull over.
Oh.
But I don't have that long reaction time of a normal hearing person.
Oh, I see.
So.
Oh, now what about when people beep their horns? Do you hear those?
Yeah, well,
Are there people who wouldn't hear those? I mean,
There
it's very
are,
good
yeah.
around here, actually, but in this area, but still some people do.
Yeah.
And somebody wants to go around you for some reason. So do you
We
have...
don't normally train the dog for that.
Oh, so that's usually heard very easily.
Well, we
No.
just don't.
You actually
we
don't
just don't
need-
trade the. Yeah, we
Not
need to
around
hear
here.
that, yeah.
Okay. Now, what else do you do that we haven't covered? You know, I never thought about something like that.
That's about all we cover really in the
For the
hearing
hearing
dogs.
dog, yeah.
Okay.
You know, just people calling names at home, upstairs, downstairs,
Calling, yeah.
things. You know.
Okay, well, I better go to Jill. I'm leaving here over there alone.
I'm getting a look from Bounty. I don't know.
Well, I don't want you to feel neglected. So.
No, that's fine.
Now-
But he's looking over here.
do you want him not to do that?
No, it's kind of cute.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, when you were trained with Irma, what else did they train you about Irma?
Gee, I
In the
mean,
assistance.
Well, the process of getting her, other people might find be interesting, is you have to get personalities from various friends and relatives to fill out a whole personality form. They try to really match you with similar personalities, and Irma and I are very much alike. In fact, she's kind of slow, and I have friends that call me Pokey. So.
So Irma just takes her time?
Oh yeah, she's a little slow at times, but
Okay.
I still love her.
Wait.
Now, why did they
yeah.
want to know about your relatives?
Well,
and
no,
friends?
you're supposed to give a form of a few pages to your relatives, or it can be friends, or
Oh, okay.
co-workers,
Now,
whatever.
how long did it take you to get your dog?
Well, I had to wait 3.5 years, actually. And I went in for an interview, and you know, I was told right away that I fit the bill.
Wait.
And from then on, it was, yeah, 3.5 years.
3.5 years. Now, what would
Yes.
happen if maybe Irma became sick and died? Would you have to wait another 3.5 years?
No, what happens is once you're a client of theirs, and your dog is either you know, retired or does pass on. Actually, another girl in my group did lose her dog several months after she got him from cancer, unfortunately. But they, you know, immediately, you know, got her in there, and they would do the same for me if I needed.
So they would put you at
yeah,
the head of the
weight
line.
wouldn't be anything, anything like that. That's actually probably why the wait is long, because there are other people, you know, number one, that have been waiting and that need replacement dogs. So, I actually got her because a woman from the pool that we go to, had one, and she lived in my area, and we became friends, and just thought the dog was great, and I was actually falling a lot at the time, and was told that, you know, I could actually use the dog as a brace. They can stand that still as a brace to, like, you know, help me push myself up. But now, unfortunately, I'm not strong enough to get myself up to the dog height if I do fall. But there are commands that you can, you know, if I fell, that I could get her to, you know, bark and
Bark for you and go out and let people
yeah.
know, and that's what's important.
Yes, you do the SPEAK. I won't say it because we don't want her to do it right now.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah, that always does the trick. And training was 2 weeks. By the way, these dogs are not free. You have to pay for these dogs, as opposed to other places where you can get dogs for free. But you, I would think, have a long time to wait. I know that there were other places that I wanted to apply, but they couldn't even get on the waiting list. So.
Oh. Well, I want to thank all of you for coming tonight, because we're almost out, I think.
Boy.
And I want to thank you so much, Linda, and thank you so much, Rita, for all the wonderful work you do. And thank you so much for coming. And thank you so much, Bounty. And for you, Irma, you have been absolutely marvelous, both of you. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for watching AAUW Connections.